Chris Gunzz here with the great Abel Sanchez. Abel, Triple G looked incredible on Saturday night. He was a favorite going into the Macklin fight, but a lot of people expected Macklin to give him a good fight. For the record, I predicted an easy night for Triple G. I don't like to blow my own horn, but I did. Were you surprised with how easy it came for Gennady?
No, actually, I expected it to go no later than 5. You know, I knew that as soon as he hit him, it was going to be a different fight for Macklin. People don't realize, and the guy, you look at the guy, you look at Gennady, and he doesn't look like a big guy. He doesn't look like, menacing or anything like that. But he's very strong. He punches hard, and Mike Tyson used to have a saying. He says, "They all have a plan until I touch them, until I hit them." And that's the same thing with Gennady. I think Gennady will prove that in later fights. But he looked very good. I was pleasantly surprised that he was able to land that hook and end it so quick, but it was good for him.
And Triple G always impresses, and he leaves impressions on all his opponents. He said he's never been hurt in a boxing ring, and he's never been down. Do you ever see him have a bad day in the gym? Has anyone ever gotten the best of him in sparring?
No, he actually takes it easy with everybody he spars with. We put kind of chest protectors on everybody, rib protectors on everybody, so he doesn't hurt them. But he has his bad days, but not necessarily in sparring. He has his bad days where he's listless just because of hard work. We work real hard up here in Big Bear, and those days I have to keep a real close tab and pay attention to when I can see those days starting to show, so I can give him some time off.
Nah, so you can't help but notice how much fun he looks like he's having when he's on his way to the ring. He's always supremely confident, isn't he?
Well, in the first and the second round, people have asked me about this, and Jim Lampley made a comment about it. I said to him, "Go out and have some fun," because that's exactly what it is to him. To him, it's a sport. It's a business outside the ring, but inside the ring, it's a sport. It's a chess match. It's trying to outmaneuver the other guy. Yes, you're trying to hit him, but it's outmaneuvering and outthinking, and he has fun doing that.
And at the end of the first round, you told him that you don't want to see him loading up. Is that something that you have to work on? Do you have to drill that into his head? Because like a lot of punchers do, they fall in love with their power sometimes. Do you have to watch him and make sure he doesn't fall into that?
No, it's not that he falls in love with his power, but we in management and training of him and the press is putting all this pressure on him about his KO percentage, and how many guys he's knocked out. So sometimes when fighters tend to press a little bit. Fighters tend to want to look for that perfect shot, and that perfect shot never comes. The shot that knocked out Macklin was a shot that really looked like much, but it was set up perfectly.
Yeah, you could tell that Macklin knew that he had no chance after about the second round, maybe sooner, but it was obvious after the second round, going back to the corner, as soon as he tried to make it like a street fight, kind of tried to make it ugly and lean on him and grab him, that's when he got caught with that wicked liver shot. Gennady goes upstairs.
He's very strong. He's very strong.
Yeah.
And if he lets his hands go, they made also another comment about he having long muscles and loose muscles. So we work on that in the gym to make sure his punches are fluid. But once he lets his punches go, it's going to be difficult, even if they don't land in the perfect spot. It's going to be difficult for you to shrug them off, because they're going to hurt.
Yeah, he goes upstairs, he goes downstairs. Like I said, equal ferocity. Is there a better offensive fighter in the world today?
I don't think so. But of course, I'm biased. But we need to have him in there with more of that supposed caliber of fighters, so that he can prove that to everybody. But I said a while back, he will make good fighters look novice-like, amateur-like, and make great fighters look mediocre. That was just my comment about a year ago, and I still stick by that. The better the opposition, the better you're going to see Golovkin not only fight, but defense. And when he has something to worry about in front of him, is where you're going to see the best Golovkin. When he has nothing to worry about in front of him, then you see a guy that maybe will get caught with a shot because it's not really important.
Yeah, I'm sure he's getting a little tired of hearing the name Sergio Martinez. People keep saying it after every single fight. And finally, Golovkin might have got so sick of it that he started calling Sergio out on all the social networks. I follow Gennady, and he said Martinez. He mentioned him at the post-fight press conference. He's making it clear that he wants Martinez next. What will that fight look like if the fight does happen next?
That's no more than 7 or 8 rounds. But Martinez just put out a release, or somebody quoted him as saying that he's willing to fight Golovkin in September of 2014.
No, jeez.
That's 16 months away. 17 months away. That's like saying, I really don't want to fight him.
Yeah. No, it was actually what I was going to say next.
So many things can happen in that period of time that maybe the Martinez fight is not the fight for him.
Yeah. And Martinez is injured now. Some people think he's just trying to avoid Triple G. What do you think about those assumptions? Think he's just
I think that he's injured. I think that Triple G wasn't on the radar really when he fought Chavez and he got injured, and then he fought Murray 3 or 4 months later and re-injured. So if you would have said that and Triple G was already after the Macklin fight, the buzz about him, then yes. But no, I think that it's legitimate injuries. That he's 38 years old. I mean, the body starts to break down, and he didn't have enough time to heal between Chavez and Murray.
Mm-hmm. And when does Gennady want to get back in the ring next?
We have a November 2nd date right now on HBO, but I really would like to have him fight sooner than that. Hopefully HBO can come up with a date sooner than that. But I wanted to give him a little time off. He's been in camp for the better part of this year.
Yeah. And who would you want if not Martinez? Of course, he wants Martinez, made it clear. But if not Martinez, and who would you want then? Peter Quillen has the WBO championship. He's unbeaten. That would be interesting. Daniel Gill is the IBF champion. And they say styles make fights, and a lot of people think that Chavez is a tough guy who seems to have inherited his father's good chin. That would be interesting. Who at 160 would you want, if not Martinez?
Well, the problem with Chavez, I doubt that very much he's going to make 160 again. He's got a fight with Vera at 165. Hopefully he makes 165. I would love that fight. We may have to fight him at a higher weight, but I would love that fight. To me, that's my dream match for Golovkin. I think they would make for a great fight, their styles. The winner of Gill and Barker, that's a good fight too. But unfortunately they fight in August, so maybe if we don't fight in September and we do fight in November, that's a possibility. That's a great matchup too, because they're very skilled fighters. Quillen didn't talk a lot of smack before the split between HBO and Showtime, and now he's talking like he wants to fight Golovkin, but he knows that the fight will never be made because Showtime and HBO won't come. He won't fight for Showtime, and Gennady fights for HBO, and he can talk and talk and talk, but Gennady is the main eventer. He fights on undercards. He's the second fight on the card. So he needs to, if he really wants to fight, his people need to call Tom Loeffler and put the fight together on HBO and really rule out see who the ruler is in the division. The 2 undefeated guys. If Martinez is out for a while, Gil really is not that well known in the States. Peter is a little better known than Gill, but Golovkin is the buzz right now. So I would love to see that fight if Quillen can get his people to understand that he wants it.
Yeah, but there's really not a lot of great contenders at middleweight, but the champions, if they did unify, those would be all interesting fights. But maybe because HBO fell in love with Gennady, and it just so happens that Andre Ward was commentating on Saturday night and doing a great job commentating too. The fact that he is commentating and trying to do it to the best of his ability, he has to talk about what he sees as he watches a fight, and Triple G forces you to speak glowingly about him. A lot of people start to think about what a Ward Triple G fight would look like when they hear Ward talking so good about Gennady and what he sees from him. At the post-fight press conference, though, you mentioned how Gennady goes into training at 167. So asking him to move up really isn't that fair. But you did mention just now how Gennady's willing to fight Chavez at a catchweight. So would a catchweight with Andre Ward, if Andre okayed that, would that be something?
You know what? I don't believe in catchweights. I don't believe in catchweights. If it's a non-title fight, then okay, a catchweight is fine. It's somewhere in the middle. But if it's a title fight, if Andre's a 68-pound champion, then we need to move up to 68. So there's no reason why we should make Andre sacrifice if he's a legitimate 68-pound champion. If Tom Loeffler and the Brain Trust for Andre Ward can come together and make something that's feasible for everybody, Gennady hasn't turned nobody down. It's just when you talk to Andre's people because he won the Super Six, because he did this, because he did that, although nobody really wants to see him fight, if he won all those things, he's going to demand maybe monies that are not available right now. So that's the difficult part, that once you start mentioning Golovkin's name, all of a sudden the numbers change. And I understand why. I mean, I understand the economics of it. I understand that nobody wants to get knocked out for free. But I would love to see an Andre Ward fight with Golovkin if all the numbers and all the details can be ironed out. But believe me, it's not on our side that we're putting the roadblocks. It's on the other side. With not only with Quillen, with Andre, with Gil, with Chavez, with all those, I've agreed to all those fights. It's a matter of, like I said, him trying to get with Tom Loeffler and making it happen. I guess is a good way of putting it. Just making it happen somehow for the fans, for boxing, for everybody concerned.
And you have a great eye. You've been around the sport for so many years that I know that you have an idea how a Ward-Golovkin fight would look. I know that you're kind of prejudiced because you work with Golovkin and he's your man. But what do you think a Ward-Golovkin fight would look like?
I think it'd be a very interesting fight for a little while because Ward is very, very talented. Ward has a style that's difficult to penetrate, but I think just like Macklin, Gennady's strength and power is underestimated. Even though he knocked him out, he really didn't display a lot of power and a lot of strength. He didn't allow Macklin to get into his groove, but he didn't allow him to get into his groove because of that strength and power that they have to think about being real careful. So a Ward fight would be a tactical fight for 4 or 5 rounds, and then when they got into the meat of the fight, 6, 7, 8, that's when Golovkin would start to take over, start to wear him down, and possibly put him down a couple times and maybe stop him before the end of the 12th.
I talked a little bit to Andre after that fight, and he was a little different than he appears on HBO. He did mention how strong Golovkin looked, but he said how that doesn't matter to him, and he would give him angles, and he seemed pretty confident in being able to beat Triple G. So you just...
you have to be confident. I think that just like me, talking about Golovkin, he has to be confident. He has to be confident in the fact that he's undefeated and he won the Super Six, and he's done so many things that we have not. Okay, so but at the same time, just because you've done a lot, your resume is humongous. If you're not in demand to be seen on TV, the resume doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
I think we need to put asses in the seats.
That's right. That's true. And it's a growing number of people that are starting to openly say that Golovkin's the man at 160 as Sergio continues to get injured and starts looking more vulnerable as he gets older. Golovkin appears to be the guy at 160, but he does still have some people saying he's overrated. What do you have to say to those people who...
I believe that everybody has an opinion. I believe that everybody can think exactly that, and I think he put some people on his side after dismantling Matthew Macklin, and I mean dismantling because after the 30 seconds in the fight, Macklin looked like he was running scared. And you're talking about a guy that gave the supposed best 2 middleweights in the world at that time a run for their money. So Golovkin will do the same thing to the rest of them, and I hope that we get the props. But if we don't, that's okay. We just got to stay busy, keep winning, keep knocking people off, and the media, the blogs, all those people that are on Gennady's side, let's just say, would have to shame those guys like the Quillens and the Gils and Andre into saying, well, why don't you send him a contract? Why don't you send us a contract? Let us turn it down. That way you can say, you know what, I sent him a contract and he turned it down.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Send us a contract that's reasonable, that you would take just the opposite, and we send it to you. And then if we turn it down, then at least you can say, well, you know, they turned us down. They don't want to fight us. But we have not heard any of that or gotten any of that. Look, Quillen made a comment the other day about Golovkin and me is a pay-per-view fight. Pay-per-view? He's not even fighting the main event yet.
Yeah, someone's got to speak reality to him.
So, you know, he's delusional.
Yeah, delusional.
So they can talk all they want, but until they send a contract and negotiate with Tom Loeffler, who is Gennady's promoter, all it is talk.
Yeah, not too many people brought it up yet, but I would love to see a Triple G fight Carl Froch at 168 if that was happening. Style-wise, that would be an incredible fight. Is Andre Ward the only guy that you'd be willing to test the waters at 168 for? He is the man at 168.
Chris, anybody from 154 to 168, about before the Rosado fight, sometime around the middle of December, Tom Loeffler gave me a list of fighters, 20, 22, 25 fighters, for me to approve or disapprove, from 154 to 168, before we fought Rosado. And I turned nobody down. Fox was in there, Ward was in there, Canelo was in there, Floyd was in there. There was all these fighters that I didn't turn down. Now, they went down the list because I didn't turn anybody down, and how we ended up with Rosado was he was the one that was available for that time that was not committed to another fight that would take the fight. There's a lot of guys that were not committed but would not take the fight. Mm-hmm. So that's how they came up with Rosado. Rosado and Fernando Guerrero were the only two guys that were not committed and were willing to take the fight. Mm-hmm. So I've turned nobody down. I've agreed to everybody, including Carl Froch, but it's a matter of, again, economics and everything coming together, and Eddie or people calling Tom Loeffler and trying to work something out. Look, the Macklin fight was made in Monte Carlo. We were in Monte Carlo for the Ishida fight, and Lou DiBella was there with Edwin Rodriguez. And Lou DiBella and Tom got together and talked and discussed it. That's where the fight originally was made. But it takes time to develop these dialogues and make the fight come to fruition. But if you don't start the dialogue, then it's never going to come to fruition. So again, Tom Loeffler needs to be called for all these things so that we can start the dialogue, and hopefully 4 months from now we have a fight.
And whoever Gennady fights next is going to be must-see TV. He always makes sure of that. He's working his way up the pound-for-pound ranking.
That's what's important. That's what's important for our business.
Yeah, and pound-for-pound list, he's climbing them. Still at the top of those rankings is Floyd Mayweather. He's taking on Canelo. You've seen Canelo up close. He came to your gym at the Summit. What does that fight look like to you, Canelo and Floyd?
You know, I think that the youth of Canelo is going to be exploited by Floyd. If this fight would have happened at the end of Floyd's contract, Floyd's 2 years older, Canelo's 2 years older, a little more seasoned, it would have been a different fight than I think it's going to be on this year. I think that it's difficult to bet against Floyd right now. He's doing everything right. He doesn't seem to be showing any kind of age, and Canelo's youth will betray him, I believe.
And I know Canelo spent some time at the Summit, and he actually sparred Triple G. I know there's a code of silence that top fighters don't talk about it after, but what did that sparring session look like?
Triple G in sparring is always a gentleman, just like you saw in the Macklin fight when Macklin slipped or when he went up against the ropes. He's not gonna take advantage of anybody. Mm-hmm. He is a gentleman, and the sparring went as he wanted it to go. But on allowing other people to work is very important for Gennady because that gives him work. Canelo's a good little fighter, but has a long way to go.
And Triple G's done. Where's he go? Does he stay in the States for a while, or does he go right home?
Triple G went home yesterday. He'll be home hopefully for a couple months, and then I'll get him back sometime at the end of August, beginning of September. If the November 2nd fight is the one that we have on next. If it's something sooner, well, then he'll come back. Usually he spends 8 weeks with me here in Big Bear.
Yeah. So who you training now? I know you're always busy at the Summit Gym in Big Bear. What's next?
Yeah, right now we have, you see, we have Dennis Grachev, who fights in the tournament in Monte Carlo on the 13th of July. We have Gilberto Ramirez, one of the top-ranked guys that fights, I believe it said August 17th or August the 20th, in Texas somewhere on the Juan Diaz card. We have Urbano Antion, who just came back to the gym. He fights August the 2nd in Southern California. Joel Diaz is here. Hopefully he'll fight sometime in July. We're talking to his manager, making sure that we get a date. We have a couple other guys, but they're not really fighting yet. We have Oleg Platov, who hopefully will fight soon. He's a heavyweight at 30-1. So we stay busy.
The great Abel Sanchez. Congratulations on your big win on June 29th with Triple G, Abel. Always great to talk to you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chris.